So cool. Yeah, because I think Facebook changed their names from Facebook to Meta. So I imagine that the metaverse is just Facebook.
Yeah. Well, but that is one of the misconceptions, right? That the metaverse that is a project from Facebook and that they will own the metaverse. And
Yeah.
I think that is just the opposite of it, right? That we're
Mhm.
actually building something that means a less centralized ownership and less platforms. And if
Yeah.
you break that down, right? So what is Web3, right? Well, if you
Mhm.
say Web3, there must be a Web2 and a Web1. Well, Web1 was where things started with the World Wide Web, which was mostly just reading websites. Because if you wanted to write a website, you actually needed to be able to build code, right? So that's a barrier for a lot of people. Then with Web 2, we saw that it was easier to also write on the web. You could publish a blog post, you could respond and post on social networks, but it also meant that you did that through a third party platform. So it was a huge time for platforms like Facebook, Uber, and Amazon to grow their business. But they grew that business mostly by centralizing value on the data and the content that were people were bringing into that platform. Now, what Web3 is sort of promising is that that ownership is going to be brought back to the individuals. So, making it easy for individuals to own digital assets like data, audiences, and content. And with that,
Mhm.
ensuring also the value that is created out of that is being brought back and shared across the users. So that's for me is the core concept of Web3, that decentralized value is going to be possible at scale for a lot of different users on the internet.
Okay. But so does that mean that everyone will have their own server in their basement where they store their own content? Is that how I need to envision that? Because that's sometimes the impression I get. Like, yeah, so you had those websites far away, and then we all go to Facebook and post cat pictures on the Facebook site, and people watch them. And now we own things. So do we need to own the computers, the machines, everything? How does
No,
that look
no,
like?
yeah, because that would be Web 1, right? Where you were also able to sort of put your own server there and host your own website and your content and send that to the web. But yeah, that is a little bit complicated to do that for the majority of the people.
Hmm.
So I don't think it's that, right? It's actually hosting things on the blockchain, which also now is still not easy to do, right? I think that's
Hmm.
also fair to admit that for a lot of people, it is still difficult to work with a wallet, to try to transact on a blockchain. It's all not that easy yet. But the promises are there to make that technology more scalable if we make it easier for people to actually start using it.
Okay.
And that would mean that you would just interact in a way as you're used to within Web 2. The only difference is that the content and the data is not put on a central server or owned by a central company, but is actually put on the blockchain. And with that, there's a decentralization of that data.